Hey kids, do you like pro wrestling? Well, we like pro wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes. I am Jeff Hawkins. Rob McCarran, currently still traveling the world thanks to Voices of Wrestling's very lax paid time off policy. But joining me, another member of the Voices of Wrestling family, one Mr. Mike Gilbert. Hello, Mike.
Hey Jeff, it's a long time no talk. We're
Yeah.
old school fight game media guys.
Mm-hmm.
So and you're still part of that network. So it's kind
I
of
am.
cool that we're here on Voices of Wrestling now because we've done I did your show, your Dynamite show years ago.
Yeah.
So but I'm excited to come back to do another show with you just on a different network. But here we are, shake them ropes. I'm excited.
Well, cross pollination is always lip service only, usually, because like
Yeah,
back in the day when there were only two shows on this network, when it was only the flagship and Shake Them Ropes, it was like, oh, we asked what combinations of the two shows would you like to hear, and they said, well, we'd like to hear Rob and Joe, or Rob and Rich, and
yeah,
Joe and Hawkins talk. That never has happened, and that was like 10 years ago. Rich,
that's
I've done a
funny.
show with Rich. Rob's done a show with Rich. Rob's done a show with Joe because he did a show. He did a show at a WrestleMania in Dallas, and I was in Dallas for that WrestleMania. And I'm walking to the tour bus, and this SUV comes by with my show blasting on it because it's Rob and Joe passing by. I'm like, hey, that's
That's
my
funny.
show. Uh, yeah,
That's
so
funny.
so your beat is usually TNA or just whatever you want to talk about. You do
Yeah.
news and TNA, right?
So on Sunday nights, we got the Mike and JD show on right here on this network, and that's just strictly headlines, like just
Right. Okay.
whatever's in the news. But because I have my Brace for Impact show, which is on that's on my own YouTube, my own Patreon, my own Twitter account, um, because I kind of like known in that world, sometimes the TNA stuff spills over into the Sunday show because
Right.
the people follow me there and they just like they get into the chat and they ask me questions about TNA. Like, God, you guys didn't get enough goddamn TNA on Thursday. You want to talk about it again on Sunday? But that does happen for sure.
It's a very small but loyal audience. It is.
Yes.
It's so weird to me because you watch TNA for years and they're always number three. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how
Doesn't
many
matter.
other
Nope.
companies there are, they're always number three, and it's just hilarious. But they keep going. They find a way to survive, and hey, get paid. That's
Yeah.
my motto. Get paid.
Yeah.
It's great.
They never die. They get knocked down a ton, and for whatever reason, they just endure. And a lot of and everything that ever happens to them is always their fault. It's just like every stupid thing that's ever happened to that company has just been because somebody in charge decided to make the dumb decision, and
Yes.
like now this is where they're at. So
Okay, this is a good segue. I only have one news story, and it's an injury story. But this week, Carlos Silva
yeah,
pulls his guys from the WrestleMania, from basically WrestleCon and the Super Indies that are going on around Vegas weekend, and a few other shows. The one
yeah.
I'm disappointed about actually is MJF and Dolph Ziggler, or the former
I I
Dolph
was
Ziggler. I was
yeah
looking forward
I
to
would.
that one.
Me too. I was looking forward to that one and Ricochet and Leon. You know, Ricochet and Leon, what it was going to be like your PWG million moves, kick
Hmm.
out of everything. I was looking forward to that. But I oddly was looking forward to MJF and Dolph Ziggler because that's just like two guys from like a different era kind of clashing. And, Dolph is one of the top stars in TNA. And of course, MJF is the guy in AEW. And I thought that was a cool matchup. And it was at Creative Pro. So I was like, okay, they probably had like 300 people there. That would be a fun show to watch, but just not going to happen.
Okay, so here goes into an old fight game media Discord slash Slack battle, because back in the day when we were all on there, and this includes James McDaniel and Kevin
Yeah.
Ely, who used to
Hmm.
do a show on there, we had a very raucous debate about whether pettiness in such endeavors was good for wrestling or bad for wrestling. And most of you were on the team petty
Yeah.
side. You were
Yeah.
on the yes, just be what you want, do what. And I was like, at least for AEW, when we were talking AEW and WWE, I was like, just do your thing and not worry about those other guys
Hmm.
over there.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different. I understand the narrative from wrestling fans that are saying TNA should let their people do this because it's more exposure for TNA, and TNA is number 3, and they need all the exposure they can get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I also fully understand Carlos Silva's position here. Because, yes, you don't want your guys getting hurt on those shows, but also you now serve a master in some sort of ways with your partnership with WWE. And while it's not necessarily Hunter calling him up and going, hey, Carlos, screw these guys or whatever, it feels that way to a lot of people. I don't think it's that way. I think everybody should be self-interested in themselves. And this is no disrespect to World Wrestling Network or WrestleCon or any of the super shows that rely on these talents that work in other companies to come there. But everybody kind of has to look out for themselves. What say you, Mike Gilbert?
Yeah, so I understand the policy. I think it's silly because I'm of the opinion that nobody really cares who wins or loses these independent matches. Right?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So, like, if Leon Slater lost to Ricochet, is a single person gonna be like, well, I was gonna watch TNA, but since he lost to Ricochet, now I'm not gonna give it a chance? It's more likely that the 5,000 people worldwide that watch that match, and probably like a couple 100,000, like in GIF form, like on social media.
Yeah.
They're going to see Leon doing some cool shit against Ricochet, who's a pretty famous guy. He's a WWE guy. He's a top guy. Not a top guy, but he's like an upper mid carder in AEW for sure. They would have been like, that guy's cool. Where does he work? Oh, he works TNA. I think I'd like to go see him, right? And so I understand the policy. If you want to enforce the policy, you have to have some type of grace period and people have to be grandfathered in because you agreed to those matches. Tickets were already sold. Advertisements went out. You said yes. And then all of a sudden something changed. And now you have decided to go back on your word. And that's where Sean Ross Sapp actually reaches out to him and Carlos responds, well, it's because of partner conflicts. Well, what else are we supposed to assume that he got a call from a Stanford number, right? Like over the weekend, because literally like last week, everything was fine. And then this week it's no longer fine. Like everything was agreed upon. And so the only thing that changed was partner conflicts. I don't think AMC is saying, hey, you know what? I really don't want to see Leon Slater versus Ricochet happen. You need to pull the plug on this deal because we're in competitors with TNT. I don't think that's happening. That match wasn't going to happen on TNT. The only thing that we're to assume is that this is a Stamford, Connecticut call. And if that's a Stamford, Connecticut call, then you're no longer a sovereign company. Like you no longer have autonomy in your company. You're being controlled by a foreign power. Right? Like, I think that's what it is here. And then if you're being controlled by a foreign power, then you need to just be honest with what your company really is. And it's just a dummy corporation for a proxy war.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that I didn't think it was necessarily not a WWE phone call. I just said it doesn't have to be necessarily either. Right. I fully think... Look, this isn't 1976 anymore either. Nobody cares if your champion from another promotion loses somewhere else to Harley Race on a house show in Minneapolis because that's the AWA territory and Harley's an NWA guy. It's such outdated crap. I think the other thing, and this is where employee relations or independent contractor relations, if you will, come into play. If this is a dream match for Leon Slater, and you've come in and and he signed it and he is jazzed for this, and you come in and you go, can't do it because Hunter and company, you were on their TV and stuff like that. He may not, if they don't give him the call sooner than later to come over to sports entertainment, so to speak.
Yeah.
He's going to jet for AEW because he's not going to stay at TNA and do it. And it's one of those things where it's like you're risking that because, hey, he may go to WWE, become a bigger star, and then come back on your television and might help some. But now that you're doing this to him, now it's going to be like, oh, yeah, well, I'll just go over here and then work the indies I want and screw you. Kind of thing.
So the thing that TNA doesn't realize is they have Like they have the contractual rights to these people, but not forever, right?
Right.
And you're not paying these guys enough money to fuck with their bookings like that. Like, with Nick Nemeth, he's very likely getting paid a lot of money by TNA. Like
Hmm.
he's a salaried guy, he's a contracted guy. That's why they're able to pull the match because he is salaried. I get the feeling he's well into the six figures. Him. I think AJ Francis is probably the same. Moose is probably the same. Guys like that, they're paying out good money too. Leon was kind of a nobody before he got to TNA. He's probably not making much. A lot of these guys are making whatever their indie rate is, and they say, "Hey, we're going to guarantee you whatever 30 dates per year, and then you can use whatever fame and you get on our TV show, and now you can parlay that into getting other indie bookings." That's a fine business model if you're for a small company like TNA that's only really running 30 to 35 dates a year. That actually makes sense to me. The problem is it only works when you're not fucking with their bookings because the news cycle is gonna turn over pretty quickly, right? And like this is
Yeah.
gonna they're gonna like Pat McAfee's already knocking people the TNA from the headlines. It's gonna blow over, but the indie promotions are not gonna forget. They're gonna be like, I don't want to fucking do business with these people. And the talent's not going to forget. They're gonna be like, look, I'm going to get out of my contract as soon as I can, or I'm just going to ask out like Danny Luna just did and Steph DeLander just did. And indie talent that's looking to come here is probably going to change their mind. Like,
Hmm.
you know what? I'll go work, you know, you know, the 65th match on a Ring of Honor taping in Jacksonville TV studios versus go and work for you guys, right? Because you're messing with people's bookings. I could see that having definitely that ramification for sure.
Yeah, and TNA is not the ECW way station that ECW was like in the mid 90s, where guys are crossing from companies and going there in between and stuff like that. People aren't loyal. I mean, I think, well, let me take that back. Eddie Edwards is loyal to TNA.
Yeah, yeah,
There are
but
some
Eddie,
guys who are loyal to
yeah,
TNA.
but they're taking care of Eddie Edwards, right?
Yes.
They're not taking care of Mance Warner who just left, right? They
No.
like you have to pay people for their loyalty. That's why Eddie's so loyal. They're paying him decent money, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
he's probably a homeowner. His wife works there. Like they have a family. They're very comfortable.
He probably has a
Like
management type situation or
yeah,
something in there
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. So like that happens. Like I think Steve Macklin's sticking around because I think Steve Macklin's dual hatted there. He's wrestling and they're probably I don't know that they're taking care of him like crazy financially, but he's probably being taken care of a little bit.
I would
Moose
say
for,
so.
Moose for sure is being
Mhm.
taken care of. Like he's an NFL player. He's not coming in unless he's making a ton of dough, right? He's making
I,
good change
I
for
just
sure.
I think we need to kind of temper ton of dough because it's like,
T-
well, the AEW, or not the
yeah,
AEW, what, AMC money. It's basic cable money and it's good money, but we're not
yeah.
talking
No, no, millions.
AEW. I mean, yeah, we're not talking
Yeah.
like star contracts. We're talking, maybe right above six figures, maybe a
Yeah.
couple of six figures there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
kind
That's
of
what I'm
okay.
talking about. Which
Yeah,
that's a
okay.
lot of yeah, yeah. Like that's a lot of money to a guy like a retired master sergeant. That's good money to me.
Yes.
Right. Like they have the money that they want, the schedule that they want. They're happy.
Hmm.
Is what I'm saying.
Sad news coming out of AEW, at least for me. Kyle Fletcher going to be on the shelf for a while with a torn
Hmm.
meniscus. At least it's not a torn meniscus and a torn ACL. Now, I have posited on both the Dynamite show and this show. Kyle, you had about six top guys in AEW, and Kyle Fletcher was the one you should have taken and just beaten all of them to become the
Yeah.
main star of stars because he can talk, he's charismatic. What we talked about Wednesday, Paul and I, was that this injury can be both fortuitous and trouble. Now that we have Osprey coming back into the mix,
Hmm.
we have the ascension kind of Darby Allin into that top scene. The problem here is what happened was we lit Kyle, he got on fire, and then we went, we have no idea what to do with him in AEW. Let's make him the TNT champion
Yeah.
again. And you're just like, eh. But yeah, your thoughts on how the AEW landscape kind of changes without Kyle Fletcher in the meantime?
Yeah, it's a tough sledding for him. I completely agree with you. I think they should have just like gave him the ball and ran with it. It's kind of hard because MJF's like on fire doing the best work of his career, so you're not gonna put him above MJF. But I think he should have been like right there. And I know he did headline a pay-per-view with MJF. He did that, and then they moved him right back down to the TNT title, which he should have never went back to.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think AEW would be best served focusing more on their younger talent. It's kind of like the same old argument we had with WCW back in the day and that we had with WWE at times. Like you have this good crop of young talent. Why is Chris Jericho? Like why is Christian and Edge like about to be the tag champions? So they just have such a good crop of young actual stars that can draw money, and they're being favored, like they're being kind of hidden behind a lot of these olds that you and I grew up watching, you know. Jericho, I was a teenager when he was around. I was a teenager when Edge and Christian were around. But they're still doing it. I'm not saying that they're bad, that they don't have their place, but they should be looking up at the lights at a guy like Kyle Fletcher for sure.
We came up with the best idea for this Jericho return, and it smells like it might be it.
The
And this is Paul. We were talking old rock stars, and I
Okay.
was originally talking about the. Have you seen the documentary about the history of the Eagles
I
on
have not,
Showtime?
no.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, there's a tremendous heel turn by Glenn Fry at the
yeah.
beginning of part two, where he just basically looks at the Eagles and he goes, "You know what? None of you guys would be getting paid if it weren't for me and Don Henley. So just be thankful for what you get." Kind
I
of a thing.
mean, he isn't completely wrong, but when they brought in Joe Walsh, he was a big star. But go ahead.
Yeah. But Joe Walsh is on the reunion tours for the money.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
spent it all on drugs. We're not, and
Yes.
Joe Walsh will be the first
Yeah.
one to tell you that. Hey
A
man, I'm
hundred
just here to
percent.
get my money, man.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good Joe Walsh. But Paul came up with another pop culture documentary kind of heel turn, and it's the most recent one on CNN where I'm Chevy Chase and you're not.
Oh, is that
And
I
that
haven't seen
Chris,
that one yet.
and that Chris Jericho is Chevy Chase wanting to this fits into the cornerstone, which is what I brought. I go, this would be brilliant if he did it. Chevy Chase is the star who doesn't realize he's an asshole, and he thinks being funny while at the same time being cruel will just get washed on a bridge. And that's also why Jericho is bringing up all his greatest hits
Yeah.
in his pros. Like you didn't see, I don't think you saw the one from this week, but he pulled out the list again
Yeah,
for
I saw
Ricochet
the
when they did that thing. And I'm like,
yeah.
if he's the old comedian like Chevy playing his greatest hits and stuff like that, and in his promo, he's like, I helped build this company. I'm so thankful to be a founding member of this company. I'm like, oh, please give me Chris Jericho as Chevy Chase, as opposed to thinks he can still go, but he's one half a step behind Chris
Yeah.
Jericho. That's what I want out of Chris Jericho. I want him firmly upper mid card, maybe even middle mid card.
Hmm.
But I also just said I think he's miscast in AEW, which is a work rate promotion. I think he would
Yeah.
have been fine in WWE. I know
Oh,
that he didn't
yeah.
want to do the 3 month retirement tour with Gunther just yet. He wanted to do more. I still think he's sort of miscast in AEW. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think he sticks out like a sore thumb now, because he was the biggest star that they had when the company was created, right? For sure. Like they don't get to where they're at without him. The
Right?
problem is that everybody else has kind of surpassed him, and he's still a famous guy, but they have not the audience grew sick of him. They
Yeah.
were done with him. He's had so many different gimmicks and so many different gimmick changes, and a lot of times it's just throwing shit at the wall. People just kind of moved on from Chris Jericho, and the talent around him just got so much better that they passed him by. And I just don't know, other than the fact that he's famous and still he's still a smart guy. He can still get himself over,
Hmm.
but I will argue that getting people to mimic you is not the same as being over. Like being over means you're actually selling tickets. Getting people to mimic you is getting people to mimic you. Now, if that translates to dollars, then okay, then yeah, that makes sense. The list, whatever it was 10 years ago, that absolutely was over, but that was over in WWE. If he went back to WWE and brought back the list, like they're probably selling all kinds of merch because of the list. I don't think AEW fans want that.
Right.
I just don't think they want a Jimmy Jacobs written version of whatever Chris Jericho wants to be this today. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just, but we'll see. Like I didn't see the complete promo. I saw the list come out on Twitter. I saw the 2 minute part of that. I didn't get home till like 9 p.m. and I watch 8 Dynamite every week. I don't really deal with Collision because I can only handle so
No,
much
neither do
wrestling
I.
every week.
I skip Collision.
Yeah, but I always make sure to watch Dynamite. I got home at like 9 o'clock. I turned on the TV, and Jericho comes out, and kind of I didn't think it was a great reaction. I thought it was like an average reaction for a returning hero to Edmonton. And then Ricochet comes out, and he had like no confidence in his promo. It seemed like he had no idea what he was saying, and he was like overthinking every line that he was about to deliver, right? And you're an improv guy, so you probably caught that too. Like
Hmm.
Ricochet just didn't seem like he belonged in the ring at that moment in time, and it was just a really awkward promo. I turned it off because I was like, oh, I'll catch up to this later. This is not very good. And I put on War Machine on Netflix, and that fucking was awesome. So
I
yeah,
thought
that's what I
about
did.
doing that during Dynamite too, but I can't because I do a show right
Yeah.
afterwards, unfortunately. Yeah, I agree. You know who did the old guy in AEW gimmick better was Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
When everybody was scared to death he might get a belt. And I thought
Yeah.
they should have given him at least a title run, and then Tony, no, because Tony loves his,
I
star rating comparisons. But the heat from the fear of God of Jeff Jarrett being a champion was a far better promo to get the AEW fandom worked up rather than what Chris is doing, which is performance art. And I love
yeah.
Chris Jericho, and he does performance art well, but it's just one of those things where it's like it's gonna have like a 2 month shelf life, and then everybody's gonna like Judas, but they're gonna get tired of the character. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
The difference between Jarrett and Jericho is a bigger star for sure, but Jarrett is believable. And what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by believable, like he's not believable that like I think he can fight. He's believable in that I believe what he's saying when he
Mm-hmm.
says it. The problem is he got away from himself during the MJF feud and he started calling MJF's girlfriend a whore.
Yes,
That was unnecessary and that killed the whole thing.
it
Like,
did.
and he's the veteran in that situation, and he's got this young guy in MJF who probably looks up to Jarrett. Like I would have just assumed because MJF is like a historian, and they're doing that, and there's like, well, yeah, well, your girl's a whore, and MJF's like, well, no, your girl's a whore, and they killed the whole thing. And
Yes.
I thought they really had something with Jeff Jarrett march to a title because he was giving these really passionate promos, and he's the only guy in the fucking company that can throw a punch. I was excited for it, and like he's sober and he's like in shape. I was like, let's go, Jarrett. I'm excited for like a
You and
reunion
I are
tour.
the only two people who are into that. Everybody else is
Yeah.
like, no, I want to watch I want to watch a speedball match or something. I don't
I
know. I
I
I like
I like
speedball.
Yeah, I like those matches too, but I like old school wrestling, man.
Yeah.
I like seeing
Okay.
a guy cut a promo. I like seeing him fire up. I like seeing him throw punches that connect.
I like
You
seeing
know?
them sell.
Yes. Yeah, I don't need 1,000 kickouts in my matches, you know? Like
Yeah.
in a 12 minute match is
Oh,
fine for me.
oh, Mike, I may
Like,
just fire Rob and bring you onto this show. I don't.
dude, I say that as an AEW fan.
Yeah, same.
I like what they do. What they do is perfect for their company.
Hmm.
And when I'm watching AEW, that's what I want, right? When I'm watching TNA, I want to see TNA do stupid shit. Like I just want TNA to be TNA. And then in WWE, I'm watching that. I don't want to deal with the celebrities and like the commercials and the entrances. But when I get to their main events, I'm usually like pretty sports entertained. I typically enjoy them. Like I
Hmm.
don't, I'm a pretty easy to please. Again, I liked War Machine on Netflix with Alan Rickton. It was awesome. It's about Army Rangers in training fighting a robot. It ruled. Like that's
Well,
what I
you
need.
know what? That gets into my next segue actually,
Okay.
because it's a tale of two promos this week. We're recording this after SmackDown, so I won't bring up
Okay.
anything that McAfee did, but McAfee was great on SmackDown tonight. I'll just say that, but we'll get to McAfee second because Kenny Omega at the end despite it being far too long and far too rambling. It's look on the Hawkins scale, because I hate his promos mostly.
Yeah,
I do.
he's not very good. Yeah.
Well, he's not very good. He never seems like he's putting effort into it. He comes out. I always say Kenny Omega comes out for promos like he just stepped out of the shower and his boss told him something to do. He has a t-shirt, shorts, Crocs, or flip-flops. Comes in, does his thing. I bid you adieu and good night. This time, we had the fog. We had a suit. He came out. He was locked in for a couple of seconds emotionally before he went back to his kind of passive-aggressive ramblingness. It was good for him, and the content, despite being rambly, look, people want to hear Kenny say he's the best bout machine, and that's what the AEW audience wants. And I often judge these things based on what I want wrestling fans to watch, and so I get into the weeds about old school promos and being, make it personal and heat and things like that. But for Kenny, on my scale, it was about a 6. So I'm willing to give him an A for that one, and grade on a curve. On the Kenny curve, it was an A from Hawkins, because I usually hate his promos. And MJF just comes in and steals the show, and he did a great job. This McAfee promo, I looked at it the next day, because I was originally with everybody else, and I hated it. And then I stepped back, and I tried to look at it from a view of 30,000 feet. And I think I'm not going to say it's close to perfect what they're doing, but it's close to perfect for WWE and what WWE wants. And I think that's the problem you're hearing in the narrative, is you're hearing, number one, fans who don't like WWE anyway.
Yeah.
And critics who will judge it on its merits and stuff like that. But this isn't something. This is WrestleMania. Who cares about merits and stuff? It's the people who think Toru Yano doesn't belong in the G1, which I was always the guy who was like, I love his matches, because I'm the contrarian, I guess. But it gives WWE everything they want in it, because the fans love this kind of stuff. They like celebrities there. It's not a demeanor to this, and plus Pat McAfee can wrestle, so it's fine. He can take bumps and stuff like that. He's not little Yachty who was out there tonight with Trick Williams. It's corporate.
I'm sorry, Jeff, who the fuck is Little Yachty? I'm sorry, who is that?
He's just the rapper that Michael Cole always brings up when they're looking around the crowd. I don't know who he is.
Do you think he really?
I'm a 52-year-old Caucasian man. Do you think I know who the hell Little Yachty
Just
is?
answer me this, Jeff. Do you think that Lil Yachty had a yacht before he called himself Lil Yachty?
No, but I believe it's also part of the all rappers are rich. They do pro wrestling better than pro wrestling sometimes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure.
But look, corporate synergy with your new ESPN partner who is broadcasting WrestleMania, and you're going to be hyping that show all week, that's a positive. Star power, that's a positive. The WWE fans like this sort of stuff and like being reminded of the Attitude Era and things like that too. And you know who gets angered by all the stuff McAfee said about 5'5" guys doing 20-minute Iron Man matches and the IWC and the marks? The people who might hate watch to come in. It's actually weird crossover appeal to people who don't like WWE to get them to tune in, who might not ordinarily tune in. The people who already like WWE don't care that you're making fun of work rate guys. They already think that their product is superior. So it's one of those things where I looked at it and I went, my God, I don't like meta stuff. Don't get me wrong. I don't like it. But it's not the worst kind of meta that I if that makes sense, because even Punk came out on Raw and helped redeem a lot of this, because he looks legit pissed at this. And I think what they're doing now is kind of the old school people don't think wrestling's a real sport and they don't respect us type thing, which always felt needy when it wasn't a celebrity that's already in-house and doing the shtick just to do the shtick. When they were responding to Colin Cowherd or Tom Segura or any of these other guys, it comes off as needy and stuff. Here, it feels like oh, we may get a win on this one and show Pat up a little bit. Did you see the promo and what did you think of it? If you did,
Yeah, I caught some of it. And he did another promo tonight where he announced that WrestleMania is going to have 25% off tickets
yes.
because as they like to mention, their ticket prices are too high, and so they're turning TKO into the heels.
Well, no, no, no. They did the 25% off tonight
Yeah.
as a gift from Randy Orton and him to the fans of WWE. It's almost perfect the way, as opposed to CM, because the first thing he comes out there, he goes, CM Punk. I guess we will talk about his promo tonight.
Yeah, his promo was good.
He said CM Punk has 500 pieces of merchandise, or I think he said the exact number. I think it was like 238 pieces of merchandise on the WWE Network. And oh, who does all that money go to after the sales when you get your check from WWE marketing? Does it go to the fans in any ways? Do you say thank you, Saudi Arabia? Do you, it's like he's playing playing all the notes.
Yeah.
And you just, and I know it drives the purist crazy and stuff like that, but it doesn't drive me crazy because I want Heat and to be entertained in a lot of ways, in addition to the good matches and stuff. Look, I don't want Jelly Roll anywhere near a WWE. He did his one match. He was decent. Let's move on. But he's going to get his spot here and there. So, okay, fine. But, this is what WrestleMania has always been. It's been gaudy and over the top and spectacle and not your pure celebration of the art of professional wrestling. It's a celebration of WWE in all its WWE-ness.
Yeah.
It's Cecil B. DeMille. It's their Super Bowl. They have big parties at a luxury hotel after the thing to celebrate them on what a great season they all had. It is what it's supposed to be for these guys. And I didn't the level of vitriol after the first day and hearing, Dave and Brian and the flagship and everybody else. You're kind of like, no, man, this is genius.
Yeah, it's not really for me. And it's not supposed to be, right? Like it's supposed to be for them, right? They're not I'm not mad that he's insulting the IWC. I just don't care.
Right.
I'm apathetic to it. I was actually interested in Randy Orton turning heel, but the fans loving him. I thought that was entertaining.
That was a good story. Cool.
Yeah. Because WWE's trying everything that they can to get this guy to be a heel, and they can't because he's so fucking cool. He's Randy Orton, and they just want to see him be the heel Randy Orton, because they think the heel Randy Orton is actually cooler than the babyface Randy Orton, who is also cool, right? So I thought that was a good dynamic, and I was kind of curious to see whether or not Cody was going to get booed out of the building at WrestleMania, which he probably was. So I just felt like this whole Pat McAfee thing was two things. It was a Band-Aid on a situation because they're worried about Cody getting booed. And, it was also Ari Emanuel getting in his guy who he's the agent for, bringing him in because they got like you said, the corporate synergy with ESPN, and they wanted to do more with Pat. Pat doesn't want to be an announcer anymore. He can't do the schedule. So they're just trying to get him on the show. Storyline wise, it didn't really make sense because Randy Orton's on the phone with somebody that he considers a mentor that's part of like a royal family. So we assume. So I feel like this was kind of a whole last minute thing. Like, hey, we got a couple of these put some Flex Seal on some of these holes. But I actually thought it was cool that Randy Orton was getting cheered. It was dumbfounded that Brian didn't understand that because he's so black and white with heel and babyface. When a guy like Randy Orton is neither, right? He's just being a dick right now, but the people are still going to love him. And then afterwards, he can just go back to being cool Randy Orton. Like he can take a month off and he come right back and be his babyface self. So I thought it was cool without all this stuff. I think the Pat McAfee stuff, to me, it's just noise. It's just nonsense. And it doesn't really suck me in as a viewer, as a guy that's more of in these years is more of a casual watcher of WWE. I just like to see the big matches. Kind of like in boxing, I just watch the big matches. In WWE, I just watch the big matches.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. I was interested in the Orton and Cody thing. I'm less interested now. I'm still really interested in CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I thought
Okay,
they've
let
done
me
a
hold
really
that.
good
Let me
feud.
let me let me let
Okay,
me
go ahead.
let me get to let's just put a dot on Randy
Okay.
and McAfee, and then we'll move on to other stuff that you're interested in because yeah, I'm there are a couple matches on this show I'm very interested in.
Yeah.
Um, I agree with you, and I think WWE gets scared to play that we're booing or we're cheering for a guy you should be booing. That
Yeah.
feels like a very Vince is throwing his headphones in Gorilla because these stupid fans don't know what's what.
Right.
And I agree with you, but yeah, McAfee feels like they had a guy. I know who he wanted to be. I know who he wanted to be. All right, we can't get that guy. We can't get number two. All right, how are we going to do this? Because I think
Mhm.
it probably should have been Flair, to be honest with you. But you can't put Flair on TV. You
Well,
can't
and
do that.
he's
And also the Roots of Fight stuff, which is
well,
just
and he's I think he's under an AEW deal too. I think that
is
he
he?
was under I think he was,
Okay,
yeah.
he might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or so, just somebody else. Just they're. This is one of those things like you used to do on television without pity, where everybody had their fan theories and they were much cooler than what the TV show actually came
Right.
up with. Yeah, McAfee is a lightning rod for the booze to try and get the booze so that they go to Randy. The problem is Randy Orton at this point in his career, grizzled veteran Randy Orton as angry loner interests me more than Randy Orton has friends
Yes.
in any
100%.
way.
Yep. Yeah.
And you
Yep.
can't you and doing that, like I'm watching tonight when they're leaving and McAfee's holding the title. And I'm just waiting for Orton to RKO him because that's his move. And
Yeah.
it's like and we have to wait for it until McAfee screws up. And you're like, "No, this should have happened like day two, and then we just go back to the story, but we can't go back to the story. We're in too deep. We're in too deep, Mike.
Mm.
Go through with the streak. Obafemi and Brock, I am definitely interested in.
That would be like number one for me.
Yes,
And I know it's going to be like 6 minutes, and God bless them. It's probably going to be the best 6 minutes of the entire weekend.
I don't care
Counting,
how long it is.
yeah,
I
yeah,
care that it looks like people are gonna die. That's what
yeah.
I care
I
about.
just so I went to TNA in Atlanta like a month ago, right?
Mhm.
And I had a conversation with one of their executives because they're mad at me. And they were like, what do you actually like? Like, what does Mike Gilbert actually like? And I was like, I like seeing two bad motherfuckers who hate each other and they're fighting for a cause. I don't care how long it goes. I don't care about like, what I mean, the result is important, but like particularly it just depends on the story. I just want to see two people who hate each other that like come across as badasses and I want to see them fight. That's Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, right? I don't care that if it could go 4 minutes, it can go 14 minutes. I don't care. I'm into it from like everything that they've done has been perfect. And what they do, I get the feeling is going to be next to perfect because of how Paul Heyman lays this shit out. It's going to be big move, big move, big move, and then all of a sudden someone's not going to kick out of something. And it's two badasses. I hope to God that Obafemi wins. I think it's his time. I just been so impressed
Oh,
with that guy.
I don't think Obafemi should even take a bump next week in the lead up or in the match. I think he should just murder death
Oh,
Brock Lesnar,
that'd
and
be
he's
cool.
and then Brock goes on to Gunther
Yeah,
because that's what I think the favor's gonna be
yeah,
for retirement because I think Brock just wants to go back to his farm and count his
yeah.
money and watch his kid play sports and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
Brock should just be kind of done, and he should be the gunfighter out of his depth, and Obafemi should come in and like almost like the Goldberg match, but not as quick
Yeah, right.
necessarily. I
Because
mean that.
Goldberg snuck up on him, right? Goldberg caught him in a moment of where he wasn't paying attention. Oba, I like your idea. Oba should just beat the fuck out of him for sure.
Yes, and then he's the biggest star
Yeah,
on the come in WWE because nobody is going to expect that. Like
yeah,
nobody's going to expect like you can fake an F5, but he should never hit that F5. And I don't think you should do a no sell of an F5 necessarily. The hawk move needs to be used more sporadically in wrestling, just in general. The you pile
yeah.
drive him and he stands right up.
Hmm.
But man, I wouldn't do it. What else is quote unquote getting you off about this Mania build?
Well, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, I think has been a great build, and CM Punk's promo the other night, which was vintage CM Punk. And, a lot of people, especially a lot of people on our network, they're not really happy with Punk because he left AEW and he sold
Yeah.
out, and now he's a corporate man. Well, he's still a generational talent. He's still
He still
really
can
good.
talk me in, he can talk me into the building
Yeah,
on anything. And
yeah,
grizzled Punk,
yeah.
where his athleticism was always bad, but now his age has caught up to his bad athleticism. He's
Hmm.
still fun to watch, as Rob likes to say. And look, I don't know if he's actually being real in some of these promos, but when he gets angry and passionate about something, I still believe him.
Yeah. And that's the point. Like I said earlier about Jeff Jarrett, right? Jeff Jarrett is perfect. Okay. When
Yeah.
it comes to his promos and like what he's doing, like if you watch Jeff Jarrett and you learn from Jeff Jarrett, like he in his TNA run, the only thing that I had an issue with Jarrett was the interferences in every match. Like I think
Hmm.
that really kind of soured me on him. But like what he actually does when he's just him is like you believe him. CM Punk's the same way, right? Like neither one of those guys can win a real fight. But when they're in there and they're talking, I believe what they're saying. I feel like they're being authentic. I don't feel that way with Jericho. I don't feel that way with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega can work circles around all those guys. He's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. But I don't feel like he's an authentic person whenever I'm listening to him talk and the way
Yeah.
the way he's behaving. CM Punk, I believe is. Brock Lesnar, I believe is authentic. I think a lot of those people are authentic, right? And so when I Steve Austin, authentic. So like those are the guys that I've always gravitated towards. And I think CM Punk doing a great job of talking me into this match, man. Which I have not been interested in a Roman Reigns match in forever, but I'm interested in this one because I also don't know who's going to win. I can't call it, and I think that's important.
And I think for me, the only other match that's really got me at least a little bit tingly is in the women's side. That Asuka Io match.
Yeah,
Asuka is she's just the best.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just, anything she does, like, I always put it this way, like in the old, like I'm a big fan of the Marx Brothers.
Hmm.
And in their scripts, it would famously say, Harpo does something. That's all you have to do with Asuka. Just whatever you're gonna do, kid. Just do it. It's gonna be interesting. Sure, you can't speak a lick of English for the most part, but hey, let's see where this promo goes. Kind of a
Hmm.
thing. I feel the dramatics with Kyrie are a little overwrought because look, I would have loved this to be a three-way between the three of the best Japanese female wrestlers ever, and I could get
Yeah,
off watching that. But like the other stuff is okay in the women's division, but it's very one-sided in terms of who's
yeah.
going to be carrying that match. But this match, yeah, give me that
Yeah,
all day.
it's two badass women who I are believable.
Hmm.
Like they would everything they do, like they're making contact, even with like they're screaming their Japanese promos. I believe what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying, but I believe them,
I don't know
right?
what they're
Like,
saying, but I can tell what they're saying by their tone, and that's
yeah.
all I need, man. I
I
don't
don't
need
know
it to
what you
be
mean, but I
anything.
know that you mean it. Like
Uh huh.
that's important for sure.
So let's preview AEW Dynasty. I will not be
Yeah.
watching live, I don't think, but it's a fun card. I have a strange theory I'm going to put to you at the end of this when I get to this last match because I think this is going to be a storyline throughout the show. This is a way I always look at these matches, I always look at the cards and I go, "Okay, here's who should win, here's what." But here's what would be interesting. My here's what would be interesting will come at the last match. Starting with the
Okay.
pre-show, Alex Windsor and Marina Shafir.
Should be a doozy.
Yeah, Alex Windsor's winning this. I don't think there's any way. But
Yeah.
Death Rider's gonna be Death Rider, so who knows? But
Right.
okay, that's the pre-show. We're done with that. Here we go. FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood versus Copen Cage, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I thought Copen Cage's promo this week was the best of the ones that they've done since here. Because my problem with them is that Copeland's always tried to play it too much for laughs when Christian does something dickish. And
Yeah.
instead, this time he was just locked in and serious the whole time. And he's just kind of controlling Christian. But who you got here? Do the titles change?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they're gonna do it, and it kind of makes me happy because there's like a select group of people in on Twitter that cannot stand Cope and Christian. And
Yeah.
now I was critical. I think just as like a philosophy, AEW should just stay young, right? I think they should be young, hip, and cool, right? And then have some old guys here and there for special things, um, but I could just see where they're booking it, and I think they're gonna go to a TLC match with the Young Bucks, and so I think that you can have them defend their titles in the TLC match, and
Yep.
they can lose the titles without getting pinned. Like Copeland doesn't take a whole lot of L's. They're paying him a ton of dough, so he's probably not losing a lot. So I think that that's kind of where we're headed.
I would agree. I think there's still some quote unquote bad blood between Cope and Cage and the Bucks from when Cope and
Yeah,
Cage came out to do that promo, and there were some knowing looks from the Bucks after they lost. So yeah, I think
yeah.
we're going that way. John Moxley versus Will Ospreay. Sure, let's debut a bunch of guys from New Japan on AEW without telling anybody on the go home show for a pay per view. But I think it plays into this. I will let you go first.
Yeah, well, I think the announcers tried to explain to everybody. I didn't really think it was that big of a controversy. Jimmy Corderas was upset though. That guy is weird.
I just
But
don't give a crap about all these guys that are gonna be like here and in
yeah,
and playing and no real build, no real
well,
telling us, no hyping us. But hey, they're good
well,
wrestlers, so
they
we'll
are
have
well, and
bangers.
New Japan is basically AEW's NXT, right?
Hmm.
Like it's like a finishing school. Like Callum Newman's the IWGP champion. He's probably gonna be in AEW by this time next year. So like
Okay, let me
they're gonna
ask you
start getting him on
this:
TV now.
do you know what's going on with United Empire?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
what's happened? Because Paul had to smart me up to this, and I think they assume everybody knows this story. But in the storyline, Will Ospreay is a babyface, and United Empire are a bunch of heels.
Yeah.
And Callum
Okay, I did know
Newman
that. Yeah.
cheated to basically win the IWGP title. But here they're baby faces, so that's interesting. Who you got? How does this end?
I don't think you beat Will Ospreay because you got to have Will Ospreay headline Wembley, right? So I think you keep Will Ospreay strong. So I'm going to take Ospreay over Moxley. Moxley was on a generational run of being their top guy. It's time for him to kind of take a couple steps back. So Ospreay.
I'm gonna go the other way, or I thought time
Okay.
limit. I thought time limit draw at first. I think they play this into the New Japan story
Okay.
because when Callum won, Will Ospreay didn't want him to cheat, and he tried to stop him. Blah blah blah. Wanted help, but didn't help him. I think.
Okay.
I look. I know they had the sacred rules of the Continental Championship, and I think that plays into this. I think Callum Newman comes out to help.
Okay.
And Will Ospreay demands that he go away because of the spirit of the Continental Championship, and then Moxley
Right.
ends up beating him. And I
Okay.
think and I think Ospreay wins the Owen, and then that's how
Okay.
he gets to Wembley.
Okay. You know what? I changed my mind. No, your prediction is not my prediction. That makes more
Okay,
sense than
that's cool. I can be convinced also. So that's the cool thing about this.
yeah.
Andrade El Idolo with Don Callis versus Darby Allin, Sting's kid that El
Yeah.
Idolo tried to buy earlier. I actually am very much looking forward to this match. I think this
Yeah.
match is gonna rule so
Yeah, me
hard.
too. Yeah, me too. I don't trust that AEW is ever really gonna get behind Darby, so I'm gonna go El Idolo on that one.
Okay, the stipulation is if Allen wins, he will receive a future AEW World Championship match.
Okay.
I think Darby wins this because it also plays into my what would be an interesting turn type of thing. I think he wins this match, then loses the title, and then he vows at the next Double or Nothing, I'm winning the AEW Championship. It becomes a rebuild story.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind, dude. Give me Andrade El Idolo versus MJF,
I mean,
please,
they've been building it,
or
so
Kenny. Doesn't matter
yeah.
who. The best wrestler in AEW, or my favorite person to watch, because total package right now. Tekla, your
Yeah.
your AEW Women's World Title holder versus Jamie Hayter, in what I think is going to be a banger. I don't think Tekla drops this, but does
No.
anything happen after this match?
No, I think Tekla gets the dub here and just stays strong. I think they got somebody in her.
Yeah, I think Mercedes shows up afterwards, and we
Yeah.
basically start building that. That would be good.
Yeah. Because
Casino.
she
No, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, I was saying
No, I was gonna
she
move
lost all
on.
her titles. Yeah, no, she
Oh
lost all
yeah,
her titles, so that makes sense.
God, I love Tekla and these dumbass promos she does. They're so stupid, but they're so great because she is locked in always. You never see her drop character when the camera's on her. That's why she's crazy and I love her. The Casino Gauntlet match for the AEW TNT Championship. I am here for your first two participants, Tommaso Ciampa and Roosh. Yes. Let them go about 6 or 7 minutes and don't interrupt at all. Versus the Field, who have not been announced and will be surprises. Who you got taking on this TNT title?
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Okay, no, that's fine too.
I learned this match is happening like right now. So
okay, I am going with the. Well, they announced that the Hurt Syndicate is returning. I believe they returned at Collision, so I am going to go with either Shelton Benjamin or Bobby Lashley. I think one of them win, or the new quote unquote new member that they might.
Yeah, who's the new member going to be? That's curious. I'm curious about that.
Won't be Cedric.
Cedric the Alexander is locked into TNA.
Yes, so. Yeah. I mean, look, I still think there's a Leo Rush. I almost call him Roosh. Leo Roosh redemption project, and it's not with those contacts. God, I hate those things. In a tag team match, Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson versus Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, filling in for I believe Proto Shida was going to be the original fighters of the Young Bucks. Who you got here?
Well, I don't know that Okada and Takeshita can coexist, Jeff. They've been doing that storyline for 3 years now. Something tells me they're not going to coexist and that the Young Bucks get the victory because they're going to go to that TLC match coming up at Double or Nothing.
And I told people, look, I know you guys on paper love this. You're getting storyline here to participate Kazuchika Okada. You are not getting Tokyo Dome Okada, but you're going to get Tokyo Dome Takeshita.
Yeah.
And the Bucks are going to be working their awesome. Those three are going to be awesome with Kazuchika doing crap for laughs. And Okada's leaving him, I think, and Takeshita's losing. Yeah. And the Bucks win this. Chris Jericho versus Ricochet.
I mean, how do you beat Jericho in his first match back? I don't think you can.
Okay, I think you can.
Okay, I'm interested.
Because I think he's a secret heel anyways, and Ricochet just came out to interrupt his plan in some ways. So I think this could also be a psychic break for Ricochet, or not Ricochet, but Chris Jericho, where look, man, he's thinking of something. And my thought is he tries to get in there with Ricochet and tries to be like Lionheart Chris Jericho and just can't hang.
Okay.
And then loses.
He's going to do his Barry Darso where he's just running through all his gimmicks.
Yes.
Okay. I can see that.
In Canada, yes, I think so. Okay. I think that happens. And then finally, MJF versus Kenny Omega, because Wednesday night, I legitimately did not know who I thought was going to win. I still don't, but I have interesting theories. Please go.
I have a friend that convinced me that Kenny Omega is winning this match. So I'm going to go with Kenny Omega, and that they're going to get to the money match, which is Kenny Omega and MJF. Or not, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay at Wembley, I think, would be the main event there. My friend convinced me that, so that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, you don't need Kenny to win the title here to get to Will and Kenny, because they don't necessarily need the belt, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
But after that promo, Kenny Omega took the Dynamite Diamond ring. And afterwards, he said this, not afterwards, but during the promo, he goes, this will be the last time you see this version of Kenny Omega, kind of a thing. And so, look, I know we're going to get the spot where MJF has a ring and Kenny has a ring and Bryce Remsburg is taking rings from everybody and it's going to be ha, ha, ha. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my Babe Ruth calling his wild and out there home run shot. Throughout this show, the Don Callis family has been losing. And it's been all the upper tier guys. It's been Andrade, who they've been teasing a babyface turn with. Kyle's gone. Takeshita and Okada can't get along, and so one or both of them could always leave the Don Callis family. I say Kenny Omega wins by heeldom
Oh,
and becomes the crown jewel of the Don Callis family
okay.
with with the Geek Squad B team, whatever you want to call them, or a lot of those guys get dropped. Although, God help me,
Yeah.
I want Echecero always around because that dude is awesome, and I don't care.
Yeah.
But no, like Josh Alexander's hurt, Lance Archer
He's
is
out.
now saying his contract's over.
Yeah.
You know, Rocky and Trent are goofs. You don't need
Yeah.
them. El Clone and Echecero might be the other last two men standing if you want, but you can always drop them.
Yeah.
This would be the time to reintroduce Don Callis and Kenny Omega as a heel unit, being the heel guys, building up for the babyface Will Ospreay who wins the Owen Hart.
I love that idea. I think Kenny Omega was at his best when Don Callis was at his side, and he was
Do you?
I do the belt
Huh.
collector. That was my favorite version of Kenny when he was essentially cosplaying Nick Bockwinkel.
He was, but I wanted him to be connected to the character. Like you say, you don't believe
Yes.
him. I wanted him to be a heel champ as opposed to playing a heel champ.
Right. Yes, but that's
You
always
know?
the problem with him. That's what Jim Cornette. His major criticism of him is he's just kind of always overacting all the time, and it makes it seem like he's not very serious.
Right.
That said, Kenny Omega in that character is what got me into podcasting. So because
Huh.
he came over to TNA, and then we had the idea to do the TNA show, and so I've been doing it ever since. So I just have a fondness for that connection there. So I think that would be really cool. But either way, my official prediction on record, it could always change up until bell time, but is Kenny Omega getting the victory.
Don't gamble on this.
Yeah. No, yeah, don't bet on wrestling. Come on.
Unless you know somebody. I
Yeah.
was sitting next to a guy at WrestleMania one year who was winning, and he was placing bets. He goes, "I'm going to go put a mortgage on a house after this," and
Oh,
he
shit.
did. He was putting big money,
Wow.
and it was all parlayed.
Yeah.
I can't do that, man. I just figure somebody's going to screw something up on the day of, and then they'll be like, "Ha ha, you lost your down payment." You are a family man. I want to get you out of here. Give us your plugs, sir.
Yeah, you can check out the Mike and JD show right here on the Voices of Wrestling Radio Network. We actually do it live on Sunday nights on our YouTube channel, Mike and JD Show YouTube channel, and then I get the file, and Joe and Rich typically get it up by like Monday afternoon, so it's every Monday typically, sometimes later in the week depending on if we get delayed. And then you can always watch Brace for Impact on the Mike and JD Show YouTube channel and on my Twitter account. And then we also have our Patreon, patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show. Tons of bonus content, all kinds of stuff. We talk like old school wrestling. We watch matches sometimes. Sometimes we just get into movies. I like to talk about aliens and shit. Like conspiracy theory. I like to get into that stuff too. But we get a little bit weird on the Patreon. It's pretty fun.
If you ever want to do some 80s Crockett, I'm your guy. I'll watch that stuff with you because I miss
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And Rob doesn't want to talk about it. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on X. I do the Dynamite Show with Paul Fontaine over on the Fight Game Media Network about 20 minutes after Dynamite goes off the air, although it's been getting longer every week. Paul and I go live, then complain about how long it goes on YouTube, and it drops on your audio for free and your podcatchers the next night. Thank you for doing this, Mike. We'll see you next week for Mania
Take care.
previews.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, Jeff. Take care, everybody.